and we and Pooh, them and me and you. Hello, boys and girls, and insert gender here. Are you sitting comfortably? Oh dear. Is that better? Good. Today's story is Pooh and Wee and the Something in the Cellar. Pooh and Wee, as I'm sure you all know, live at number 1 and number 2 Flush Away in a little place called Lower Bowel-on-Ouse. What you might not know is that number 1 and number 2 were once upon a time 2 individual cottages that Pooh and Wee lived in separately. After being neighbours for quite a while, they decided that they got on so well they would knock through some of the walls and share a much, much larger house. Can you imagine sharing a house with your next door neighbours? One of the interesting things about Pooh and Wee occupying a new, larger house was the fact that Wee had never before had a cellar. His half of the house didn't have one, but Pooh's half did, and Wee was not at all sure about it. One morning, Pooh and Wee were sat at the breakfast table discussing the merits of damson preserve. "I have nothing against sandwich spread," Pooh was saying, "but damson preserve has far fewer chunky bits, making it much more comfortable should you get some in your ears." Suddenly Wee looked up in fright. "Pooh, I can hear noises from downstairs," he said. "I'm terribly sorry," said Pooh. "It must have been that terramassalata." No, downstairs. I think there's something in the cellar," insisted Wee. "You always think there's something in the cellar," said Pooh, at the same time as a dreadfully loud crash sounded from beneath their feet. "You see, nothing to be heard." "Take that damson preserve out of your ears and listen again," wailed Wee, who was by now becoming quite agitated. "All right, fine," said Pooh, wiping his ears out with a slice of wholemeal bread. "But you never even go into the cellar to take the clothes out of the machine." "I keep telling you," said Wee, "it's not the sort of machine you even put clothes in." "It goes around and it makes a noise, and the clothes go in wet and come out dry," insisted Pooh. "That's as maybe," countered Wee, "but that doesn't stop it being a cement mixer. Now please listen." And then they listened, and then they heard another terrible loud crash. "I'm going to me myself," they both shouted together, running for the garden. 10 minutes later, still trying to hide behind each other, they both managed to calm down enough for Pooh to say, "Okay, I think we had better investigate. Never before have I been afraid of my cellar. I am not starting now." And with that, he took Wee by the scrawny yellow arm and marched into the house and right up to the cellar door, Wee gibbering all the way. Pooh took hold of the door handle. He took in a deep, savoury breath. He turned the handle, and they stepped inside and looked down the stairs. "Ah," said Pooh. "Oh yes," said Wee. "You were right. It's nothing but all of the shelving inexplicably rattling on its own." From the shelving, a pair of bright eyes suddenly blinked at them. "I'm going to you myself," they both shouted together, running for the garden. This time it was 20 minutes before they calmed down. 20 long minutes of Pooh whimpering. "Right," said Wee finally. "Now that I know I was right all along, I think I can handle this. The ghost hasn't chased us, or bothered us when we were in the kitchen, or elsewhere. Have you ever noticed a ghost in your cellar before, Pooh?" "No," said Pooh. "I'm relatively certain I would have remembered." "I think we'd better go and talk to him," decided Wee. "I think we should hide under the duvet," said Pooh. "No one likes to find a Pooh under the duvet," said Wee. "We are going to go and talk to the ghost." So they went to the cellar stairs and, trembling, peeped round. All was still and quiet. The two friends slowly crept down the stairs and began to look around. "Pooh," whispered Wee, "I can see a mouse." "Is it a ghostly mouse?" asked Pooh. "I don't think so," said Wee, "but he might have been making ghostly noises. Perhaps we should ask if he's seen a ghost." "Hello there, mouse," said Pooh. "Have you seen, or pretended to be, a ghost?" "Hello to you too," said the mouse. "I'm so sorry. I knocked some things over earlier. That could have sounded ghostly." "Well, that explains it," said Wee, "and a much shorter adventure than usual. What are you doing in our cellar, Mouse?" "I got lost," said the mouse. "Why are there clothes in that cement mixer?" That's not important," said Pooh. "From where did you get lost in order to end up in our cellar?" "From the caves," replied the mouse. I live up at the far end of Ooze Crevice, and I was exploring the cave system, and I ended up here." "The cave system that starts up at Bottom Hole?" asked Wee. "It ends up in our cellar. Oh, Pooh, let's get our caving equipment and go explore." And so it was. Pooh and Wee put on their overalls and hard hats and lit the candles. "Are you sure about the candles?" inquired the mouse. "There could be methane in there." "Don't worry," reassured Pooh. "It's fine, I am an expert on methane." And so the intrepid trio set out towards the far dark reaches of the cellar, where the bricks gave way to bare stone, and the flagstones petered out to be replaced by rough limestone. "Didn't you know the cellar connected to a cave system?" we asked Pooh. "I only really use it to store the dryer," said Pooh. "I didn't see a dryer," said the mouse. "Was it hidden behind the cement mixer?" After some time, the three explorers saw a glimmer of light up ahead. "There it is!" exclaimed the mouse. "Bottom hole!" And with that he ran towards it and scampered through the sun-filled gap in the rock. "How exciting," said Wee, climbing after the mouse, his thin yellow body sliding easily through the U-shaped bend. "Wait for me," said Pooh. "I am lagging behind. This U-bend is rather a snug fit for a person of my stature. I'm finding this a little difficult. Oh dear. Oh, Wee! Wee!" Pooh was suddenly becoming frantic. "Wee! Help me!" Because Pooh did indeed need help. He had become stuck fast in the rock. "My word," said Wee. "Are you stuck? Surely you can use your Super Pooh powers of malleability to squeeze yourself out." "Lately," said Pooh, "I have sadly eaten too much dairy and too little fibre to be malleable. Oh, curse my recent obsession with Emmental." "Don't worry," said the mouse. "I'll nip to that nearest house and see if Mr. and Mrs. Fig might have some butter or liquid soap or anything of that ilk." And off he ran, Pooh still moaning and groaning, and Wee running around wildly, waving his arms in the air. A few minutes later, the mouse reappeared with a couple of purple-skinned characters in tow, carrying a rope and a large jar. "Hello," said one of the purple people. "I'm Mr. Fig. I hear you've run into difficulty here at Bottom Hole in the Scenic Ooze Crevice." "Oh, yes," said Wee. "Please help. My friend has become stuck fast." "Is that a jar of slippery cooking oil or some such to ease his passage?" "It's all I could find in the kitchen," replied the other purple person, Mrs. Fig. "It's syrup." And so the four rescuers covered Pooh in syrup and tied the rope around him and began to pull, and pull, and pull. Creak! "Gracious me! Creak! Oh, my pancreas! Creak! Oh! Creak! Creak!" And Pooh shot out of his rocky prison and flew 23 feet into the air, showering his saviours in syrup. "Thank you all ever so much," said Pooh. "I thought I would be there for an unspecified length of time." "Well, thanks for accompanying me out of the cellar," said the mouse. "All's well that ends well and all that. Time for a nice cup of rhubarb cocoa." And that, dear audience, is how syrup and figs can help to get Pooh out of the bottom hole.